is Common Sense Radio. Straightforward and no excuses.
All right. Come on now.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Call me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
What I said was perfectly right and spot on accurate.
Boy's got a mouth like a cannon, always shooting it all.
Stop. Yeah, stop. I mean, you're way off script.
Got it in me. Gonna quit until it all comes out.
Hey, boy.
Been a long education.
Yeah, you know, it's not cynical. It's common
My
sense.
homework is
Pay attention to me when I'm talking to you.
I'm gonna rock the nation. Rock the nation.
Genuine, accountable, and raw. Here is Steve Gruber.
It's Wednesday, and welcome to it, my friends. Welcome to the Steve Gruber Show. It's happened again. You probably have heard this, but it has happened again. Another police officer gunned down. And now a manhunt underway for those that executed this police officer. Dozens of police officers searching. Without success overnight for at least 3 suspects. They shot and killed a 30-year veteran. They shot and killed a 30-year veteran veteran of the Fox Lake, Illinois Police Department. Joe Glinowitz, 52 years old. Shot about 8 o'clock local time yesterday after he radioed in to tell dispatchers he was chasing 3 men on foot. Communication to him was soon lost. Colleagues who responded found Glinowitz, they call him G.I. Joe, by the way, shot in a marsh area near Highway 12. It's about 55 miles northwest of Chicago. He was pronounced dead at the scene. And here is the end result of the hateful speech and the hateful rhetoric that has been spewing across this country for months now. Places like Ferguson, Missouri, and the Black Lives Matter movement. What do we want? Dead cops. When we want it now. Then there's another one out there, something about pigs in a blanket. Burn, bacon, burn. These are the things that are being recited and taught to these people, and taught that it is okay to have this hateful nature, this hateful attitude toward police officers. Of course, this killing comes just a couple of days after a Texas deputy sheriff was gunned down, shot 15 times while fueling his vehicle. What was his crime? Apparently wearing a uniform. And make no mistake, this rhetoric, this dialogue, this conversation has been fueled by the behavior of those at the top of the political spectrum, including the President of the United States. Barack Obama has routinely injected himself into the conversations concerning Trayvon Martin's killing, by the way, by a civilian. The killing in Ferguson, Missouri, by Officer Darren Wilson of Michael Brown, who the narrative continues to be the unarmed teenager. Well, the unarmed teenager was an immense human being who had just strong-armed and robbed a local store, and that all evidence indicates that he got in a physical altercation with a police officer who shot him to defend himself. So let me put it this way. Police lives matter. All lives matter. The new Black Panthers, meanwhile, their little chant is oink, oink, shoot, shoot. And that's respectful, huh? These folks want a race war. Well, be careful what you wish for. No right-thinking person would want such a thing. So the search continues the search will continue in Illinois for these at least 3 suspects. And we'll see what comes of it. Hey, by the way, I have a bit of a programming note here for you. There is this simple-minded notion that we just have to be so respectful of people and mindful of people. We can't offend anyone. There's a simple-minded notion that offending someone is, Well, let me put it this way. There's this notion that many universities have gone to these days. It's the idea of a safe place and a safe space from hostile thoughts or ideas. A safe zone, if you will. A place on campuses that our fledgling young minds and future leaders can run to if they feel threatened by, say, an opinion they don't agree with, or maybe a thought that they find offensive. They can run to these safe rooms, and it's nice to know that we've gone so far down the rabbit hole of dumbing down our kids that they actually have to run to a safe room and lock the door to defend themselves against upsetting thoughts being thrust upon them by those guilty of free thinking, and worse, actually saying those things out loud. Yeah, actually saying those things out loud. Well, just so you know, the Steve Gruber Show is not a safe space. It is not a safe place. It is not a safe room or a place you can run to in an effort to not be offended. The Steve Gruber Show is now and will always be an open forum of honest debate and the free flow of ideas. The Steve Gruber Show is a full contact radio program where common sense is applauded, and avoiding the truth or a real conversation will be challenged every time. So if you're looking for a place to feel safe and snuggly and warm all over because nobody will say anything to offend you in any way, you'll need to look elsewhere. There are programs, many of them, that fit your particular hypersensitive and thought avoidance needs. But I can tell you clearly and in plain English, the Steve Gruber Show is not it. This is not a safe place. This is a hostile environment to those who try to avoid real conversation. I wanted to get that out there so that there was no misunderstanding, and you have been warned. I didn't want there to be some misunderstanding if you came to this program and you were offended by something I said, or because I challenged somebody who believed the way you did and challenged them to defend their position. I didn't want you to be surprised by the fact that there's the free exchange of ideas here, and there's a conversation, and everybody's welcome as long as they bring a logical defense of their ideas. You can share them even if I don't agree with you. You can share them here, because that's what we do in America. We have free and open conversations. Safe rooms are for idiots. Safe rooms are for people that will never be leaders. Safe rooms apparently are for our college students at certain places, but it will not happen here. And by the way, if you'd like to join the conversation, it's 888-900-9966. 888-900-9966 is the phone number here. This part of the program brought to you by Mesa. Good health, good business, and great schools. It's Wednesday, my friends. Welcome to it. It's the Steve Gruber Show.
Michigan, born and raised with Midwestern values and Michigan common sense.
People try to put us to down. Talking about my generation. Just because we get around. Talking about my generation. Things ain't do look awful. Talking about my generation.
All right, welcome back to it. According to a posting on the internet, Donald Trump on his way back to Michigan, planning to campaign at the Big Mitten Festival. That's coming up at MIS. The Big Mitten, it's like a state fair. If you haven't heard about it, this is the first annual Big Mitten Fair. Apparently Donald Trump's going to be back. Is it a fair or a circus? You decide. At any rate, he's coming back. Donald Trump openly boasted he donates to politicians so he can exact favors from them after they reach office. He did so for Jeb Bush in 1998, holding a high-dollar fundraiser for the candidate to be governor of the state of Florida in Trump Tower and shelling out $50,000 to the Florida Republican Party. But when Bush took office in 1999, Trump didn't get the political help he needed to make his casino dreams a reality in the Sunshine State. In Instead, Bush maintained his hardline stance against gambling in Florida, delivering a death blow to Trump's hopes to building a multi-million-dollar casino endeavor. He was going to do that with the Seminole tribe of Florida and prompting him to abandon those plans. It certainly had a chilling effect, said some political consultants in Florida, and they wonder openly now if that's why Trump is so angry and opposed to Jeb Bush. Something to look at. Here's a little something that I find fascinating. I've heard a variety of reactions. Maybe my first reaction was, gee, maybe he's a real person, and maybe I took it wrong, but President Barack Obama is planning to appear on the Bear Grylls reality TV show Running Wild. PETA, however, came out and slammed the president for appearing on this reality TV show, saying that the show is sexist and speciest, whatever that means. I guess we like people more than we like, we look out for people first. That's PETA for you, people for the ethical treatment of animals. Bear Grylls show, this is a quote now. Bear Grylls show is known as the bottom of the barrel and demeaning, sexist, speciest, and who knows what otherist TV reality shows, and that's certainly saying something, says PETA's president Ingrid Certifiably Insane Newkirk in a statement almost immediately after NBC announced Obama's plan. This internationally condemned program, really, it's internationally condemned? Have you ever heard Bear Grylls' program being internationally condemned? By who? Ingrid Newkirk and her other mental patients? This internationally condemned program in which women have been bullied into slitting the baby throat of a pig and eating a mouse soaked in urine, she claims, is the last place the 44th president to be seen. There are far better ways to get the message about global climate change out than by appearing on this disgusting show. Obama will be taping the episode with a survival expert during his visit in Alaska. I don't know if that's happened yet. The show, by the way, follows Grylls as he takes celebrities such as Channing Tatum and Kate Winslet on a one-on-one survival adventure in the Alaskan wild. Of course, they do that with a bunch of photographers that have sandwiches. Hey, man, you got a sandwich? Anyhow, here's the thing. The two men will come together in the Alaskan wilderness. President Obama will become the first U.S. president to receive a crash course in survival techniques from Bear Grylls. That, according to NBC. It's the celebrity president. And that's where we are these days. It's the celebrity president, not the leader of the free world, the celebrity. And so how can you say that, Donald Trump's just a celebrity. What is Barack Obama then? He wants to get out a serious policy comment. He goes to Jimmy Fallon's program. If you want to get some voters, you go to Saturday Night Live. He wants to talk about the environment, so he goes on Bear Grylls' Running Wild program. And so what's the difference? It's a bunch of celebrity hoo-ha, a bunch of Hollywood make-believe, Hollywoodism, as Ivy calls it, just Hollywoodism of America, which is everybody lives in make-believe land. Nobody knows what the truth is anymore. You might, though. And if you do, the phone number is 888-900-9966, 888-900-9966. Speaking about living in fantasy land, Chipotle, the food chain, the burrito food chain, their claim to sell food with integrity is coming under fire from a California woman who is now suing the chain for false advertising after the company heavily promoted its controversial decision to abandon all genetically modified organisms or GMOs in its ingredients, which proved to be impossible. Chipotle made that splash April 27th when it declared it was the first national restaurant company to go totally GMO-free and launched a GM Over It publicity campaign. Colleen Gallagher alleges the company is in violation of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act in misleading consumers about the company's use of GMOs, which she's right. I believe she's right. You can't create a GMO-free burrito, and not on the mass scale that they do. It's relatively easier for us to have all non-GMO ingredients. Chipotle CEO Steve Ells said in April he was full of crap then he is now. You know, we've always paid attention to the way we source food since we started 22 years ago. The fact of the matter is, we did this many times. In order to get that much GMO beef, you'd have to go out of the country. It would be cost prohibitive. They don't even have the pork now. Some ingredients were being held back. The restaurant is in free fall. Some consumers opt for GMO-free products in the belief, which has never been proven, that they are somehow safer and healthier. Never been proven at all. Chipotle's menu has never been at any time free of GMOs, says the lawsuit. Also true. Yeah, at Chipotle. On a related note, marijuana use among college students is at a 35-year high. You do the math. It's 25 after on the Wednesday morning edition of the Steve Gruber Show.
The Steve Gruber Show. American values with Midwestern common sense.
.33 after the hour now. The hotline number is 888-900-9966, 888-900-9966. We're going to Sean in DeWitt to get things rolling. Sean, welcome to the program. Well, you want... What's that? Well, I guess Sean didn't wait. And thought he wanted to chime in on the whole Bear Grylls thing and the president, which would be a pretty good conversation. The president... to appear on the Bear Grylls program to promote global climate change, something of that nature. And PETA is all up in arms over it, at any rate. One wild story here before we get our next guest on the line here. You've heard of the Appalachian Trail, I'm sure, the longest foot trail in North America. Well, apparently... while we're talking about, global warming and green thoughts and so forth, apparently people along the trail are just partying their brains out. Listening to the sounds of nature and so forth is not what you're going to get. You're going to get trash, graffiti, people more interested in partying all night, apparently, than doing anything else. So we'll talk about that more in a minute, but I just want to get some of those green environmental stories up in your radar. Shifting gears now, Todd Wood is a journalist for the Washington Times, a regular contributor here to the program. And he finds it, a bit ironic, to say the least, that while we being Barack Obama, is doing everything he can to put together this deal and make sure that it survives, that it's actually the Russians, Vladimir Putin, that are teaming up with Syria to put boots on the ground to make a deal with Iran. I'm just trying to sort it all out for you. Todd Wood, welcome back to the program.
Hey, good morning, Steve. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. So here we are bending over backwards to make this deal, and yet it's not us making the deal. It's the Russians over there that have, let's be honest, the Russians have made their place in Crimea, working their way into Ukraine, established themselves in Syria. I mean, we drew the red line in Syria, and yet he's still there, isn't he? He hasn't left, and we're making a deal with Iran, but it's actually the Russians that are behind the scenes making the real deal. So are we just fools or what?
Well, I think this administration is, or actually they have an agenda. It's hard to tell really where the line is, but you're exactly right. I mean, the real deal being made in the Middle East is between Russia and Iran. I mean, they are, we've discussed before, selling them lots of weapons. The head of the Quds Force, this general, I forget his name, just went to Moscow against the UN sanctions and met with Putin. And lo and behold, a few weeks later, Russian aircraft and troops are landing in Syria in great numbers. Syria's always been a foothold for Russia in the Mediterranean, but now it's going to really destabilize the whole Middle East. What's Israel going to do with the Russian Air Force one country away? I mean, there's just all kind of things that are happening that's not good for our allies and our national security.
Even the Russians, though, might steer clear of the Israelis. I mean, sticking your finger into that hornet's nest. But still, it destabilizes the whole region, which is the bigger point, because here we are on one side, the Neville Chamberlain of the 21st century, Barack Obama, or whatever he is. You know, I don't even know if he's that, because Neville Chamberlain at least loved England.
Right.
And I don't know what Barack Obama's actual opinion of America is. You know, he claims to, you know, have an affinity for America, but it doesn't seem to bear itself out very often. And here we are with another bad deal weakening America. And it's one example after another after another. You know, make no mistake, I predicted long ago that Guantanamo Bay will be a wedding present to the Castros. Watch that. That's coming down the pipe at some point, too, because they're going to give that piece of real estate back as an offering of good faith to the Cuban people. And other foolish behavior continues on. So I don't know where we stand, or if we stand to gain anything. The only thing I see that we're making is an effort to buy icebreakers in the Arctic. Other than that, I don't know what the hell we're doing. Todd, help me out.
I wish I could. I really wish I could. I don't think we're going to get any help for another year and a half now. The real question is just how much damage is going to be done in the meantime.
That's pretty fair.
So, you know, Iran's going to get the bomb. They're going to be loaded up with highly sophisticated conventional weapons. Russia's in Syria strengthening their presence. Russia and Iran are teaming up against the anti-Assad forces, by the way. And Russia is very scared of ISIS. So they're scared of them coming up through the Caucasus up into their, you know, southern border. So, you know, that is the real relationship there, and, you know, we need to watch how it develops.
Well, let me touch right on what you just said there. The Russians are scared of ISIS coming up to their neck of the woods. Is that really true? Do you think they're really concerned about that? I mean, you've seen, it was the theater massacre that happened, you know, in Russian territory where, you know, rebels took over the theater and murdered many. See, my opinion is that the Russians and the Chinese, they don't tolerate things like ISIS. They just go down and, well, they just kill people, and that's the way they handle it. Unlike the United States, they don't negotiate. They don't, you know, they don't play footsie, I suppose. But I guess it's still a real concern.
Well, Chechnya is a very interesting situation, and that's actually how Putin came to power, by defeating the Islamists in Chechnya twice. So that's where he made his name. And he put in a guy down there, Kadyrov, who's not a nice guy, but he's not a Salafist. You know, he's not a serious Islamist. He's kind of the moderate kind. And ISIS has definitely got a foothold in there. And yes, it is something they're very scared of. In fact, they've given Kadyrov so much control down there that he is opposed Putin many times. So it's a problem for them.
Well, clearly there are parts of the Soviet or the former Soviet Union that are, they're Islamic republics, are they not? That sit in the part of the satellite nations that are still under the influence of Russia, whether they're officially Russia or not, still sit in that sphere of influence, do they not? That are certainly Islamic nations. Exactly.
And what has happened is they have invited ISIS in there and made a big PR effort that, yes, we're here. They've renamed the Caucasus, you know, on their websites, you know, Islamic State of whatever. And so you're right. They have gone down there and with an iron fist, but they're not able to stamp it out. And then it's something they're worried about, and that's why you're seeing, you know, Russian attack aircraft and hind helicopters landing in Syria.
Well, exactly, and it's not going to change. So I guess the next question then becomes, we don't have a lot of time for this left, Todd, but I'll give you 30, 40 seconds on this. So what is Russia's relationship with Iran then? It sounds like they're already making deals, from what I hear, on weapon systems and so forth. So that's our next big problem.
Oh, that's my whole point. That is a huge problem. And, you know, Russia doesn't make much, but they make really good weapons. And Iran's going to have a lot of them. Very sophisticated air defense. It's going to really, you know, make a problem for anyone like us or Israel to defeat Iran's nuclear program if we need to militarily. So it's a real problem, and it's going to be cemented very quickly. You know, and Obama's not going to do anything about it.
Not a thing, because why would you? Todd Wood, you know, why would you? Why would you defend this country the way you should? Todd Wood, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you sometime very soon.
All right, take care.
There you have it. Todd Wood, journalist for the Washington Times. Come on. It's 41 after the hour. It's Wednesday on the Steve Gruber Show. Hey, go to stevegruber.com if you want to listen live. I had some people ask me about this yesterday. Radio Pup is the free app on your phone. Once you download Radio Pup, find WJIM. You can remember that Jim. Download that, and then you listen live wherever you may be and wherever you may roam. It's good for you. Tell the kids.
Genuine Michigan common sense on display every day.
I pulled into Nazareth, was feeling about half past dead. I just need some place.
All right.
Where
It's Wednesday on the Steve Gruber Show. Thank you for dialing it in.
Hey, mister, can you tell
So, let's see
where a
here.
man might find a bed?
Let's see here.
He just grinned and shook my
I want to talk about the state of college for a moment. You got that, Alex, or should I go? All right, so. Well, Alex is seeking out our next contestant here on the program. I want to cover a couple of important topics for you. And it's college today. College. A professor at North Carolina State University warning students in her gender studies class to refrain from using any sexist language in their writing or face penalties to their grades. Any sexist writing. Words like mankind and he. Well, that's going to cost you in the grade. Thanks to evolution, generalized pronouns and other biased references are no longer acceptable in any class, warns Professor Nancy Bishop. That's in her syllabus, by the way. You may not use he or him or man or refer to both men and women. Mankind can be replaced by humans or humankind, and he can be replaced with he or she. The College Fix reached out to Bishop to ask why she was pursuing such a strict language policy. Bishop replied by saying the rules were necessary for proper time management and to prevent more significant slurs against women. Don't use the word mankind because it's somehow akin to the war on women, says the professor. When addressing women in an academic setting, especially an online one, the class is online only, by the way, some students feel that by being behind a computer board, they are free to address women and even women addressing men as something other than what is really respectful, I guess. Oh, and by the way, Bishop's approach is hardly unprecedented at college these days. At Washington State University, one faculty member has abolished use of the word female, while another has threatened to slash students' grades, even fail them, if they ever use the term illegal alien. Illegal alien, illegal alien, illegal alien. Go ahead, fail me, professor. How dare us use the proper legal definition of those in the country illegally? Illegal alien is the proper term. Look it up. It's called Webster's Dictionary. You might want to refresh your acquaintance with that particular book. Speaking of college and everything that's going on, do you have kids in college? Yeah, you do. And you over there. Good. Several of you, in fact, I see. Good to know. Daily marijuana use among U.S. college students is the highest it's been since 1980. I bet you are excited now. College students were taking up more regularly, that is, toking up more regularly in 2014 than they have been in the past 35 years. That, according to the University of Michigan. In its annual Monitoring the Future study, apparently monitoring the future is a little bit cloudy because it's a little bit stoned. One in 17 college kids, 5.9%, say they use dope every day. The study defined daily as 20 or more times in the prior 30 days. Regular user, I guess. It was the highest rate of daily usage recorded since the first year of the study in 1980. The study shows that marijuana use among college kids has grown slowly each year since 2006, when roughly 3.5% of students reported daily use. In 2014 was the first year in which regular marijuana smoking surpassed regular cigarette usage. You see, smoking dope's good for you. It's good for your lungs. Won't cause cancer. It heals you, you see. While there's this big movement against cigarettes, there's also this big movement to legalize marijuana everywhere because apparently smoking dope is good for you. At least that's what my friends on the left say. From a libertarian point of view, it's up to you. Do whatever you want. The problem is, like they have found in Colorado, edibles especially are falling into the hands of children on a very regular basis, causing overdoses and so forth. On an all too regular basis, children are being affected by legalized marijuana. The things I said would never happen. It's clear for just the past 7 or 8 years there has been an increase in marijuana use among the nation's college students, says Lloyd Johnston, the principal investigator of the study. And this largely parallels an increase we have been seeing among high school seniors. So good to know they're bonging down more in high school and on to college, called a higher education. Johnson said that the increased use could be due to the fact that fewer young adults see marijuana use as dangerous. No, of course not. It's good for you. It's medicinal, for God's sake. And that's the running joke, trust me. The study showed that why do you think Brother Shane is hungry all the time? Whatever. The study showed that 55% of all 19 to 22-year-old high school graduates saw regular marijuana use as dangerous in 2006. 55% thought it was dangerous in 2006, but only 35% of people surveyed in 2014 saw it as dangerous. No, marijuana is good for you. Global warming will kill us all. Get high and have a good time. The survey showed that 63% of college kids in 2014 said that they have had an alcoholic beverage at least once in the prior 30 days, down considerably from 82% in 1981. The proportion of the nation's college students saying they have been drunk in the past 30 days was 43% in 2014, down from 48% in 2006. Alcohol use is declining. Binge drinking is declining. Marijuana use is getting higher. Get high and have a good time. That's right. The extent of extreme binge drinking in college, first defined as having 10 or more drinks in a row at least once in the prior 2 weeks, and then defined as 15 or more drinks in a row in the same time interval, is estimated at 13% and 5%. Yeah, binge drinking doesn't happen like it used to. And maybe it never did. You wonder if that's one of the things the kids bragged about. But the legalization of marijuana across the country has certainly impacted our young people, as the use of marijuana among those in high school and college, like I said, at a 35-year high and increasing. So if you're sending your kids to college, congratulations. Well, just want to know what you're paying for, don't you? Just want to get you to know what you're paying for. It's 52 after the hour on a Wednesday. Bong down, my friends. It's the Steve Gruber Show.